Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I don't know if you guys are very aware of this, but October, aside from being breast cancer awareness month, is also pregnancy and infant loss awareness month. Sorry, I always get, it's such a long word that I have to think about it for a second. But yeah, so the reason I'm making this video is for those women that have lost a baby, have lost a pregnancy, because I am one of those women. I lost my baby when I was 5 months pregnant. It was my first pregnancy, and I just want to share my story of what basically led to, not led, but like everything that happened during my miscarriage, and also how it affected me after. So that's just the reason why I'm making this video. I know it's totally random. I usually just do hauls and like fashion things like that, but I don't know, I just had like this urge to just make a video, and I think it's because I've finally accepted my miscarriage. Yes, I know it's been 8 years, but it's taken me this long to finally accept it and not be okay with it, but just not hurt anymore. So yeah, so let me just start off with, I do actually have 2 kids, and one is, like I said, I mean, they're in Zoom right now. One is 6 and the other one is 5. He just turned 5. And my miscarriage actually happened 8 years ago. It happened in 2012. I had gotten married in June, and then I got pregnant like right away. In November, I was about, well, it was the last time I had an ultrasound, but my miscarriage actually happened in December. So I was about 5 months pregnant when it happened. Let me explain to you, like, I actually know why I had my miscarriage. I know a lot of people don't, but I know why now, and I actually didn't know until after my everything that happened to me. So basically, I got pregnant when I went in for an ultrasound. I don't remember how many, because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like block a lot of things out of my mind. But yeah, sorry if you guys can hear talking. It's my son's TK teacher. But yes, so I had an ultrasound done, and basically, well, I actually had my appointment and then I had an ultrasound done there. Sometimes at Kaiser, because I have Kaiser, they'll do a vaginal ultrasound. That's just what they do when they want to verify your pregnancy. So they did that. She didn't tell me anything. She just said, oh, okay, I'm gonna refer you out to a radiologist. And I didn't think anything of it. I mean, she didn't say anything good, but she didn't say anything bad. I was just like, oh, and obviously it was my first pregnancy, so I just assumed that it was routine. So I go to the radiologist, and when she's doing the ultrasound, she's like, that's interesting. And I asked her what, and she said, oh, they didn't tell you? And I'm like, no. She's like, oh, you have a bicornuate uterus. And I'm like, what the heck is that? Because obviously, you know, that's like not a common thing, well, that I'm aware of. And so she basically explained to me, let me explain this to you with my hands. So your uterus is shaped like this normally, correct? And basically, when you have a bicornuate uterus, you tend to have like a horn like that. So yeah, it kind of ends up looking like a heart shaped. And the thing was that mine, usually it's okay if you have a little bit of the horn here. That's what they call it a horn. But I guess mine was kind of like all the way down, and she didn't say anything. That's all she said to me. And I did get to see my baby. It was bouncing around. Like, till this day, I can literally see it clear as day. That ultrasound, that was the last time I ever got to see my baby, sadly. So, you know, they told me I had that, and that's it. They didn't say anything else. So I told my friend, who's actually very knowledgeable, because she works with OBGYNs. She kind of warned me, like, oh, you need to be careful, because, you know, she was just being honest, and I respect that. She was just telling me, you know, it is kind of dangerous to have that, but as long as, you know, you don't have it too in, you're fine. Because that horn, I guess sometimes it pushes the baby and it causes you to go into labor. So that's all I was, in my head, I was like, okay, I might just go into labor a little sooner than, you know, expected. And that was it. I was like, okay, that's fine, you know, I can handle that. So my birthday came along, and 2 days later, I was reaching down to get a drink of water, and when I went to reach down, I felt like this cramping pain in my abdomen area, or my pelvic area, I'm sorry guys. And so I went to the bathroom just because I knew, like, I just had like this bad feeling. So I went to the bathroom and I saw blood. So I called my husband because he was in class, and he rushed home. He took me to the ER. We went to the ER. When we got called back and had an ultrasound done by the staff, this is how I knew. Even before the doctor told me, I never told my husband this, but okay, so when we walked into the ultrasound room, there was 3 people in there. There was a guy who did my ultrasound and then 2 women, and they were all just talking and laughing or whatever. And once they started doing the ultrasound, 1, they didn't let me see the screen, and then 2, they got super quiet and super serious. And then they just told me like, oh, we're gonna put you in this room. So I already knew. When the second they went from like happy to sad, that's like, I already knew. And so then after that, they put me in the room with my husband. We waited, I don't know, like 30-40 minutes, and the doctor came in and told me, you know, I'm sorry you lost your baby, and just said, oh, the nurse is gonna give you paperwork, you need to see your OBGYN to see what you need to do next. And my husband was really pissed off because he said that the doctor was very cold, but I tried to explain to him like it's not his fault, that's just how doctors are, and we can't, like, I know it's just mostly because he was just in pain and he just and angry at the situation, he just wanted to blame it on somebody. But I just told him, like, don't get mad, you know, doctors have to be cold because they have to detach themselves, like having to deal with these kind of situations every day. And I am only bringing this up because I have worked with doctors, OBGYN doctors, and you guys kind of have to understand that some doctors, they don't mean to be cold, it's just that they mentally have to do it for themselves too, because just like how you can get depressed and have all these things because of situations, imagine them having to be the ones to see it and to tell you, like, after a while it gets exhausting, and there has to be a point where they like tune themselves out. So I'm just saying, you know, be sometimes a little bit empathetic too with the doctors and the nurses, that they're not trying to be cold, it's just that they are trying not to be attached so they don't become so affected by every situation that they have to deal with constantly every single day. But yeah, so anyways, so that occurred, and then I think it was the next day or the following day, I go to see my OBGYN. She basically tells me you're gonna be checked into the labor and delivery unit in the hospital, because I don't know if you guys know this, but when doctors work for churches, sorry, for certain hospitals, if they're religious hospitals, they don't do abortions. So I had to, and since I was like pretty far along, they were gonna have me deliver the baby naturally. So then I scheduled my appointment, and I think it was like 2 days after that. I know my miscarriage was like a month long. After that, I go in, I'm in the room, they start giving me the medication that is supposed to make you contract so that you can start having those obviously contractions and movements to push the baby out. Well, it wasn't working, and they kept giving me medication and it wasn't working until it was started in the morning, and then it actually started in the afternoon all through the night, and nothing was happening. My son's class first Zoom class is ending. Sorry about that, guys. Hold on. Sorry guys, I had a quick Zoom meeting with my son's teacher. So where was I? Okay, so they start giving me the medication to, you know, cause a contraction so I can go into labor. It's not working. It's an overnight thing. So the OBGYN doesn't know what's going on. So he said, okay, there's another doctor that's going to be coming in to after my shift, and I'm going to let them know, and then we'll see what they can do. So they waited a little while. They checked me. I've like never had so many goddamn people look at my vagina and check my pelvic area in my life, to the point where I'm not even shy about pap smears anymore because of that situation. But yeah, so they did that. They couldn't figure it out. So then it's basically almost evening time, almost getting to like, I don't know, like 7-ish o'clock. And then that's when they tell me, oh, there's another doctor coming in. He's older. so he has more experience, and there's techniques that they used to do that he's very aware of. So then he comes in and he basically tells me, okay, so what we're gonna do is, this is the best way, and the simplest way that I can explain it to you is, we're gonna blow up this balloon inside your uterus where the hole is. So you know your little hole is like this big, and it's gonna expand about this big, because the way he said that they used to do it back in the day was they used to shove a balloon, blow it up, and then make you stay like that, and then I guess that would like cause sometimes the baby just to slip out. I know it's weird, I've never heard of that, but they did it. So he did that. So basically it started off like this and it expanded like this. So just imagine someone shoving something and you have into your uterus, and you have to endure it with no pain. So the pain was so severe that they had to give me morphine, and mind you, I hadn't even slept for like since my miscarriage. So that was like the first time I actually slept a little bit. I didn't even sleep the whole night. I probably slept like 5-6 hours, but I mean that was like good enough. But yes, the pain was so severe that my friends and family that were waiting outside in it, and the way that the room is set up, it's like you have one door, and then you have like this little area where they set up and stuff, and then there's another door, and then you can go inside. So my friends were not even in the middle area where the doctor set up, but outside, and they said they could hear me screaming because of how painful it was. And I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I have really good pain tolerance. Like my pain tolerance is so high, but that is literally one of the most painful things that I have ever gone through. And that little situation, just that pain, like even now, like I'm trying to hold in my tears, but that's part of why I'm so like traumatized and why it took me so long, because I feel like it wasn't just like a mental thing, but a physical pain and physical situation that affected me really bad. But anyways, so they do that, and I basically have to sleep with it during the night. So I have to sleep with that in my uterus the whole night, and in the morning when they come and check on me, I guess when I had like moved a certain angle, it like they said it came out. So they let me rest for a little while, for like 2 or 3 hours, and then they came back and they did it again. And when they did it again, this time there was 3 doctors in there and 2 nurses, because they were doing whatever they were doing down there. And again, you know, obviously I was screaming in pain. I wasn't crying, and mind you also that I was, even though I had my miscarriage, I kind of like, I cried a little bit, but I wasn't really crying because my husband was more hysterical. I'm not a very emotional person, so I'm just used to just, you know, holding in my feelings. My husband on the other hand is like very hysterical, is very dramatic, so I felt like I had to keep my sanity for him. So the second time when they did it, I guess like that's when I reached my boiling point, and I just had like a mental breakdown. I just started crying. I couldn't stop crying. And then they sent in a social worker. She just talked to me for a little bit, basically just saying that maybe I shouldn't have visitors, because I did have a lot of people that, you know, do care about me, and I do appreciate that. Like honestly, that situation also showed me, you know, who my real friends are, because, you know, how having them visit me and just be there for me, it says a lot to me. But yeah, I guess like my family and friends being there was just so overwhelming, because I was just trying to keep it together for myself, for everyone. And so they let me just rest the rest of the day. It was just me and my husband in the room, and I had I had to wait basically the whole day to see if it worked. So they took out the balloon, and it didn't work, obviously. And so then they came back again with 2 or 3 OBGYNs, because nobody could figure out what the heck was going on with me. And they just did an ultrasound, and when they did an ultrasound, they didn't do it like them putting their hand in and checking me. Okay, hold on guys. Sorry guys, I had to do something for my son real quick. So basically, after being there almost like 3 or 4 days, they come in and they do an ultrasound. And when I say they, it's because it was about 3 doctors, because no one in that hospital can figure out like what the hell was going on with my body. So they did an ultrasound. It was just a regular over the stomach ultrasound. They didn't like stick their hand in and then check me while they were doing it or anything like that. It was just a regular ultrasound. And I'm bringing that up for a reason, but I'll explain later. So they basically tell me, it was an older dude, So, you know, the older they are, like the more blunt they are, which is fine. So he basically told me, okay, so if we can't take out the baby, then we're gonna have to completely remove the uterus with the baby. And that's all he told me. And he just like kind of said like, well, I'm gonna let you like sit down and think about it. And so they left, and obviously I'm there crying. It's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours later, I tell my best friends, my family, because they came back to visit me, what my options were. And my best friend, being like the awesome person that she is, she's like, don't worry about it, I'll have your baby. Like, and I know her, she will ride for me. She would have had that baby if like we wanted her to, for us, if I wasn't able to have a baby. But sorry guys. So she, you know, offered me her uterus, like the awesome friend that she is. I told her no, it's okay. Like, I didn't even want to talk about it at the time. Like, I know she meant well, but that was like the least of my worries. I know she was just trying to ease my pain, which, you know, I love her for that. But it kind of sucks because that's one of the things like I want to, you know, bring up in this video, is that people don't realize that even though they're being sweet and genuine, it's kind of like not the right time to say anything. It's just best to not say anything at all. But anyways, after that, I don't know, it's like 4 or 5 hours later, it's just me and my husband in there, and another doctor, a younger doctor, comes in and says, look, we don't want to take out your uterus, that's the last thing we want to do, but since we can't do anything besides what we just did, because this is a Catholic hospital, like I referred to, like I, you know, mentioned earlier, that's literally all we can do medically for you. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have you make an appointment with the OBGYN, then they're gonna send a referral out and see if you can have something else done somewhere else. So I wasn't really sure what he meant by that, because obviously, you know, I'm new to all this. I didn't know what all that meant, and at that time I was just so exhausted. I was like high on morphine. And I was just like, okay. And so we get discharged the next morning, and we go home. They call me, I make an appointment with the OBGYN. She basically says like, look, we can't do, you need to have, basically, you know, technical terms is you need to have an abortion. Even though I had a miscarriage, they can't do those doctors can only do miscarriage procedures, and obviously they didn't work on me, so I needed to go to an abortion clinic or a doctor to have them do, you know, other options that weren't available to me at the hospital. And so they refer me out first to Planned Parenthood, and Planned Parenthood asks, I guess, for a ton of blood work. Like literally I had so many tubes of blood taken out of me, and for whatever reason they said they couldn't do it, which thankfully that's like a blessing in disguise, because then I was referred to a different abortion doctor in LA, which she is literally like if it wasn't for her, then I would not even have kids right now. So, you know, thanks to her, like I want to cry right now. Sorry guys, I'm trying not to get emotional. So I go, they make an appointment with her for me, and so basically they just tell me, you know, fast and blah blah blah. So, and the thing is that LA is 2 hours away, so my mom takes me. My husband couldn't take me because he had to go to work, because he had already missed a ton of days being at the hospital with me. So my mom ended up taking me, and we went in there. So this was the process. So we went in there. It's like this little building, you wouldn't even know that it happens there. There's like a ton of buildings inside that building. So we go in. She basically just asked me, well, the nurse asked me, he asked me if I was allergic to anything. At the time I didn't know I was, and I told him no. And then I spoke to the doctor. She basically explained to me what the procedure that she was going to do on me was. And then she also explained to me that the reason that Kaiser probably did not want me was because, I guess, not Kaiser, Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is very, I guess, particular with who they let as patients in their clinic. So just in case you guys were wondering that anybody can go in there and just have an abortion, no, you're wrong. she's like, I don't know what came back in your blood work, but it must have been something minor. She told me clearly, she's like, Planned Parenthood, you could probably be like vitamin D deficient or something, and they won't do it on you. And so yeah, so just in case you guys were wondering, that's what she told me, so you can kind of get an idea. And so she basically explained to me that she was gonna put in this machine. It's called a dilator. Obviously it's gonna make your cervix, it's gonna manually move your cervix for you to cause, you know, the baby to come out. And I told her, okay, that's fine. And I had to be put under, which obviously was fine. So she put me under. And when she put me under, I guess what she does is when she puts it in, she uses the ultrasound machine, so she can guide her machine exactly to where it needs to be. So while I was under, she actually discovered that what was going on was, okay, so let me explain to you. I'm sorry if I didn't explain this to you earlier. It's just that like I'm so nervous and I'm trying to like keep it together. So when I told you guys that I had a bicornuate uterus, you know, mine went all the way down. So instead of being heart-shaped like this, mine was literally like this, and I had a baby on one side, but nobody knew that at the time until I saw her, because I don't know, I guess I don't know why they didn't even say anything. But what was going on was the baby was on this side of my uterus, and the little thing that they were using to slide in the dilator, I'm sorry, it was going into this one. So for some reason, I guess it wasn't going in at the time. We didn't know why, but I later find out why. So it's going into the wrong uterus. So basically she was telling me everything that they did to me in the hospital was pointless because they were doing it in the empty uterus, and I guess they were not using the ultrasound machine to guide themselves to see what was going on. That's why I mentioned earlier that they only did an ultrasound after everything and not during my situation. But thankfully, because she was, you know, using it at the same time as, you know, putting in the machine, she discovered that it was going into the empty one and it wasn't going into this one. And I'm sorry if I didn't mention earlier, I'm trying to, like I said, keep it together, but my uterus ended up being, instead of, you know, heart-shaped like this with the little horn, mine was all the way down. So it was basically like I had two uteruses. And yeah, so I did not know that. So then she obviously had to wake me up because she couldn't do anything about it. So she wakes me up and she explains to me what had occurred. And side note, I also found out I'm allergic to Ansef, because she said when she gave me the antibiotics after that, I started breaking out in a rash and my blood pressure went up, and it was just, yeah, I know, totally random, but I thought it was interesting. So she lets me know, hey, I can't do this because for some reason the machine's going into the empty one and I can't figure out why it's not going into the side where the baby is. So she's like, I'm gonna type you up everything that happened, all the as much information as I can in this packet. And it was probably like 50 pages. I'm telling you right now, it was like a fat stack. So it was already kind of like late in the afternoon, and she said, I'm giving you this packet, you need to go right now to this Kaiser. And she gave me an address. She was like, you need to go to this Kaiser, walk up in there and tell the person in the front desk that I sent you, give them my card and give them this packet and say that you need to see an OBGYN immediately. And so, and I told her, I'm like, are you sure? Because the thing is with Kaiser, you have to call, you have to make an appointment, you have to be like referred out, like all these things before you even can see a doctor. And she said no. She's like, I used to work there. I worked there for like 30-40 years. Everyone there knows who I am. So it's not just any random person that's, you know, sending you there. It's me, and they know who I am. And if I sent you there, then they know it's a serious case. So I said, okay. So I go with my mom. I do what she said, and I explain to the girl. I give her my card. She takes the paperwork back there. She said, okay, sit down. The physician assistant's gonna see you. So then I go in. He does just like a quick pack because they have to do it. So he just basically says that he read my paperwork, and that one of the other OBGYN doctors kind of read what was going on, and he said that they needed to have a meeting. Literally the whole floor needed to have a meeting because no one knew what the heck was going on. So he said, he's like, I will call you back. He's like, just go home and I'll call you once we have an answer for you. So then we drive back home, and later the next day, like in the afternoon, he personally calls me and he tells me, hey, all the doctors had a meeting about your situation, and we decided that you need to have a CT scan so we can actually get like a very good visualization of your uterus, so we can figure out what to do, because honestly we're all kind of baffled. I know it's crazy, right? So I go back to LA. I know this is already like 2 weeks in, so I go back to LA. I get the CT scan done, then I have to wait like a couple of hours. They told me that since I was out of town, that they were gonna try to speed up the imagery so that I could see the doctor the same day, so I don't have to keep driving back and forth. So I did it in the morning. We stayed there like in the afternoon. Then I went to go see the OBGYN, and basically she said that her and the doctors decided that what had occurred was that, I guess, even though I have one uterus and it was my horn, I guess, is so microscopic. She said that she doesn't even know how I got pregnant. She's like, that hole to that side, she's like, it has to be so microscopic that it's like a miracle you even got pregnant. And she said that that's the reason why whenever everything that they were doing to me in the hospital with the abortion doctor, that it wasn't happening because the hole was so tiny, like literally microscopically tiny, that nothing was working, and that's the reason why. So basically she told me that I had to have they were basically gonna cut it off. So they're basically cutting off a limb. They're gonna cut off that portion of the uterus and take it out. And so she said that both of my ovaries were still gonna be fine, it's just that this one wasn't gonna be attached to anything. And obviously I told her, you know, you have to do whatever you have to do. But she did tell me, like, even though we're cutting this off, you'll still be able to have a baby because you still have all of this side. You're just gonna have an incision on the side, and you're always gonna be high risk pregnancy. And I said, okay, you know, at that point I was just like, do whatever you need to do. I was just so exhausted and so over it. So she said, okay, go home. We're gonna, you know, they'll call you to schedule your surgery and let you know what's going on. And then I say like maybe like 2 or 3 days later after that, they called me and said, okay, you're gonna go in Christmas Eve and we're gonna operate you in the morning. And so we went in, talked to them, you know, they put me under anesthesia. It was an outpatient procedure, by the way, guys, so I didn't stay it overnight. It was just like I went in the morning. I don't know how long, obviously I don't remember. I think my husband said I was only in there for like 2 or 3 hours. So they ended up doing the procedure, and the way they did, sorry guys, I know this is a really long story. I'm trying to like make it as short as I can, but I'm almost to the end. So basically the way they went in to take out my baby was they went in through my abdomen area. They opened up my belly button, and then 2 incisions on the side, and then 1 kind of like in the lower pelvic area, because they needed 1 for camera, 2 for the tools, and then 1 to like take it out. And so yeah, I have the procedure done. Obviously, you know, it went very well, thankfully. They went to go check on me. I just had to like pee, and then once I peed, then I could go home. So I did that. I went home, cried on Christmas Eve, watched YouTube videos of people unwrapping presents because I was just miserable. And, you know, doing whatever I could to distract myself. So after that, I go back for my post-op, and she just basically said, like, you're fine, you're gonna be able to have babies. Now you only have 1, like, you have your uterus, but it's only 1 side attached, but both of them still work. And that was basically it, guys. I know it's a really long story, but I just want to basically sum it up by telling you that, you know, I know a lot of people don't have these types of situations happen to them, but I just wanted to share it with you because I want to explain that literally my miscarriage was like a month-long process. And I feel like because it was such a long situation and such a physically painful situation, like I had so many things done to me that it like affected me so much mentally. And for that reason, it took me literally years. I'm telling you, just recently, finally, I've accepted it. I'm okay with what happened to me. For so long I blamed myself, like why why it's my fault, and that's why I'm making this video, because I want you guys to know that it's not your fault. And I know it's not going to take away that mentality that you have, but it truly is not your fault. Sometimes things just happen out of your control, just like with me. So I'm sorry if I'm rambling now, but I just basically just wanted to make this video for you guys, because I know what it's like to be in pain. I know what it's like to hurt, and it sucks to be alone. Or maybe, you know, for someone that you know, for someone out there that you know, someone that's going through this right now, you don't know how to deal with it. I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, honestly, just give that person their space. Don't say anything, just say I'm sorry. Let them talk, let them cry, just let them feel. Because I feel like with that situation, people don't just let you feel sad. They don't make you like feel lonely. Like, it's like we're just supposed to just pick up and just keep it moving, and it's like, oh, you can have another kid so you're fine. No, that doesn't work. It doesn't work like that in any situation. Let me tell you, oh, well, it's fine, you can get a stepdad. If your real dad dies, your mom will marry somebody else so he can replace your dad. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. An empty hole and void in your heart, that void is never gonna go away. And it applies to people that, guess what, I didn't get to meet my baby. And honestly, I feel like out of the whole situation that I went through, that's what was like the most painful for me. Because, try not to cry, because like I didn't get to hold my baby, I didn't get to say goodbye, I didn't get to keep like a piece of him to like, or like just to bury him, like none of that. Like, it's just like I had a miscarriage, they took my baby, and that's it. Like, I don't even know where my baby ended up. And that's what hurts the most, I think, because I just, you know, wanted to give my baby like a peaceful burial and all that stuff. I'm not gonna cry. But yeah, so obviously, like I said, you know, it's been 8 years, but I still have that pain, and a lot of people do. And I just wanted to put this video out there for you guys to know that I'm here for you. If you need someone to talk to, if you feel like you don't have anybody to talk to or anybody that can relate to you, I can, trust me. And I won't say anything, I'll just sit there and listen. And like I said, if you have somebody that, you know, just went through that or is going through that, you don't know how to deal with the situation, or you know, do the right thing. Honestly, I feel like in these types of situations, there is no right or wrong. Whatever you say at the moment is not gonna matter. Sorry guys, my memory ran out, so I had to go get another SIM card. And I just want to, you know, basically sum it up. I'm sorry this video has been super long, but it's just that I just wanted to make this for all you moms out there, especially because, you know, I feel like this category doesn't really get noticed. Like, everything else is such a big deal, but I feel like this one, that everyone tries to keep it like hush hush, like you shouldn't be talking about it, you shouldn't feel sad, or you shouldn't even be mentioning it. But I want to mention it because I feel like it should be mentioned, because I am that person. And I feel like maybe, even though at the time I didn't want to talk to anybody, I feel like maybe if I actually had someone that can relate to me in that sense, I would have maybe not felt so alone. Because it is hard to find people, and like I said, no one's going to talk about it. The only way you're going to find out if someone had a miscarriage is if they literally personally tell you. And that is how like hush hush, you know, miscarriages and losing babies is. It's like nobody talks about it because like it's I don't know why. I guess it's something that, you know, like I said before, our parents and everyone, they grew up and you were just like not allowed to talk about it. Well, guess what, we're allowed to talk about it now. And if you want to talk about it, I'm here for you guys. If you want someone to vent, if you want like a virtual hug, I'll give you guys a virtual hug. Whatever you guys need, I'm here for you. I didn't do this video for anything but just for the simple fact that I wanted you moms to know that I'm here for you, and that there's somebody out there that has your back, and it's me. And I'm not gonna be quiet, just like you guys shouldn't be quiet. If you need to talk about it, talk about it. If you need to let the world know, let them know, let them see your pain. Because guess what, sometimes they do need to see that everything I go through is just not like, oh, it's like a little scrape. I feel like they see it as like, oh, it's a scrape on the knee, you're fine, it'll heal. No, it doesn't. And even if it does, your emotional scars don't usually heal, especially not that easily. Again, myself for example, it took me 8 years just to emotionally deal with it. Let me tell you how severe PTSD I had after this. Aside from, you know, every Christmas, every Mother's Day, every May, that was my, because that's my due date month, and I still to this day know the day. I'm not gonna tell you guys. So that specific day and month, like Mother's Day was hell for me. I hated people, even with my kids, even though I know I have kids now. Literally this year was the first year where if someone told me happy Mother's Day, I said thank you. Before that, I always told my best friend, like, don't ever tell me happy Mother's Day. Like, I don't want to hear it. It just makes me sad because, like, I still feel like, you know, I'm not fully a mother because, you know, I'm missing my baby. Sorry, getting emotional again. But yeah, so like I said, you know, obviously it took me a very long time to get over, and obviously you guys see that I'm crying because, you know, it still affects me. So just know that, yeah, it's always gonna be a part of you, but it's okay. You will eventually feel better. And yeah, guys, sorry if I took this along. Like I said, if you guys need somebody to talk to, I'm here for you guys. If you need a friend, whatever it is, just let me know. And even if you're feeling sad, if you're having bad thoughts, obviously, and when I say bad thoughts, I mean like harmful thoughts, do not put yourself in that hole, guys. Do not go and talk to somebody. I'll even leave like a link down below, or a phone number, whatever I can find, if like a nationwide phone number that you guys can use in case you guys are feeling that way, because I do not want you guys to do something that you will regret later on. And yeah, so I hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you guys next time, or not, or I'll talk to you guys if whoever writes to me. And have a beautiful day. Bye, guys.